Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to pull apart complex topics, get right to the essential insights. Today, we're diving into a couple of really memorable phrases from recent political talk, drawing straight from the sources you provided. We're talking about the big, beautiful wall and the big, beautiful bill. Our mission really is to understand what made these phrases tick, what they truly signified, and how they squared up against actual policy and, well, the outcomes.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating is how these phrases, they seem simple, right?
Yeah.
But they manage to sum up huge, complex policy goals. And they definitely grab so much public attention, political attention too. We'll explore the specifics, our sources lay out the context, the implications, all of it.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on the first one, the big, beautiful wall. This became more than just a promise, didn't it? Almost a vivid symbol. What did our sources reveal about its path? From just a concept to actual construction attempts.
Well, yeah, that phrase became one of the most iconic slogans, really, from the 2016 campaign. It meant a physical barrier, obviously, along the U.S.-Mexico border. The stated goals were, curbing illegal immigration, drug trafficking, human smuggling. And our sources show the design itself wasn't static. It kind of evolved. At first, it was talked about as this tall, solid wall, maybe concrete, maybe steel slats, impenetrable. But later, the concept shifted a bit to include transparent sections so people could see through to the other side.
Right, for visibility.
Yeah, but what the whole journey really highlights, I think, is the immense gap you often see between a, let's say, compelling populist slogan and the really gritty, often compromised reality of governing. And of course, funding massive infrastructure projects like that.
And that funding dispute,
Wow.
as our sources detail, it wasn't just a negotiation, was it? It really erupted, led to the longest U.S. government shutdown in history, late 2018, early 2019. What does that level of gridlock tell us about the sheer political weight packed into that phrase?
Oh, that shutdown was definitely a key moment. It underscored just how much political capital was wrapped up in that slogan.
Yeah.
Enough to deadlock the entire government. Yeah.
What?
Still, despite all that drama, by early 2021, our sources say around 452 miles of barriers were built. Though it's important they clarify that much of that work involved replacing or reinforcing existing structures,
Ah, okay.
rather than being entirely new construction across the board.
Got it. So mostly replacing older stuff. Okay, that's the story of a physical structure, born from a powerful phrase. But the term big, beautiful also popped up elsewhere, didn't it? In the legislative world, what happens when big and beautiful gets applied to bills?
Yeah, it gets used to describe major legislation, things
Yep.
that were either proposed or sometimes passed and often framed as transformational or historic.
And it's fascinating how quickly that label, big, beautiful, got attached to something as incredibly complex as tax reform. What were the main elements, according to our sources, that earned it that description?
Well, our sources really point to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 as the prime example here. That's the bill often called a big, beautiful Christmas gift, remember?
I do, yes.
Its main features. It slashed the corporate tax rate big time from 35% down to 21%. It offered temporary tax relief for individuals, too, and for small businesses. And it created incentives for multinational companies to repatriate earnings, basically bring profits held overseas back to the U.S.
Right.
Oh, and it also famously repealed the individual mandate from the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare.
The mandate. Okay. But not every big, beautiful bill had quite the same success story, did it? What about the push for healthcare reform?
That's right. There was that consistent promise, wasn't there, for a big, beautiful healthcare bill that would replace the ACA.
Hmm.
And the House did pass a version, but then it went to the Senate in 2017 and just, well, spectacularly failed.
Yeah, that failure was very public, capped off by high-profile moments like Senator McCain's decisive thumbs-down vote.
Exactly. That moment really sticks in people's minds. And it underscores a key point, I think. While a powerful phrase can absolutely rally initial support, legislative success, that really demands intricate work. Coalition building, navigating deep ideological divides, it takes a lot more than just a beautiful label.
And it wasn't just healthcare that stalled. There were also promises of a big, beautiful infrastructure bill floating around. But despite some bipartisan chat, our sources show no major legislation like that actually passed during that particular term.
Correct. Lots of discussion,
Yeah.
but no major bill got through then.
Okay, so we've seen a successful tax bill, but then these failures on healthcare and infrastructure. What does this whole collection of big, beautiful bills, successful or not, tell us about that journey from legislative ambition to, well, reality? So we've walked through the specifics, the wall, these major bills. When you step back from it all, what's the larger takeaway about these big, beautiful phrases in politics?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, I think these phrases really illustrate how ambitious goals get articulated in politics,
Yeah.
how they're framed. And they also show the very different paths they can take, right? The varying degrees of success or challenge in actually making them real. Our sources trace that journey from a really compelling slogan.
Yeah, something simple and memorable.
Exactly. To the attempted implementation, whether it's the vision for a physical barrier or the push for huge laws like tax reform or healthcare changes that didn't happen.
This really raises a fascinating question, I think, for you, our listener, to consider. How do these kinds of iconic phrases, the ones designed to simplify, maybe to inspire, definitely to rally support, how do they ultimately shape the political process itself? And maybe just as critically, how do they shape your own expectations for what policies get delivered and how? Something to definitely ponder as you navigate the news yourself. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.